It's the 26th of April, or 426, also known as Alien Day. So let's celebrate by going through the process of making this Gothic Giger alien cross. Stay tuned! Hey folks, and welcome back to Metamorphic Customs. Today we're going to take this NECA figure and make a nice display area, or base, for him. Which is also based, no pun intended, on the Deacon mural that we see in the Prometheus film, which is, of course, within the Alien universe. So we're going to take this thing out of the package as we've seen here, and we're going to have to take off these back pipes and spike towards the back of his upper neck, because we're going to need to have him sit flush against this, what is essentially a cross. Of course, the cross will be made with the typical XPS foam you've always seen me use, and I'm just cutting different block geometric shapes, square, rectangles, to make this very, very simple cross. And I'll glue the pieces together using hot glue. Hot glue, as I've always said, is not the best glue, but it's quick for people that don't have patience like myself. It just works on XPS foam. I've never had an issue with it. And I just marked out where I want this alien figure to land, just in case. It's pretty obvious, but best to lay it out, because it's always good to plan ahead. Also using a bunch of spare little bits I've gotten from my multiple trips to Hobby Lobby, random junk, and these small strips are XPS foam. The small strips were specifically cut with a hot wire table. That makes cutting the strips possible. And this is just a plastic mesh, again from Hobby Lobby, but you can just get this from any hobby store, really. Had it lying around, figured I might as well use it as the base or the background where the alien body was going to lay. This gives a nice texture to the back. I've cut a hole right in the center of that mesh. That's where the alien will connect, the figure will connect to the back. And I'm using a pipe cutter here, just to cut some brass pipes, again from a hobby store. Why am I using brass pipes? I don't know, I just had them laying around. It's just a bunch of kibbles and bits you put together to make this thing look bio-organic, much like Giger's artwork. And these metal bracelets are exactly that. It's like a metal bracelet. Again, these are cheap $1, $2 items and bits that you get from the bead making section at Hobby Lobby. And that's the spike from the back of the alien and the tubes from the back of the alien. Figured I'd incorporate that, even though I removed it from the alien. Might as well put him somewhere in the cross. And again, just random bits. This is actually half of a cockpit from a Gundam model, the interior cockpit, which is clear. And this is thrusters, also from a Gundam model, leftover bits, obviously. More thrusters from a Gundam model. Just lay them about. The point is to make these bits not look like random bits, but make them look like they actually work in this weird bio-organic style artwork. Also using rubber cord here. Again, this is for bead making, I think. Just spare parts that were on sale at, again, Hobby Lobby or a hobby store. And this is a tube. I found this at Home Depot. These are used to contain wires. I've used this before in another Alien diorama. So this works really well for the mechanical part of biomechanical. So I just cut these in half and kind of glue them on there. Fill in the center with hot glue. And then I use these thin strips of XPS. Again, they're this thin because I cut them with a hot wire table, and that makes them flexible, which allows me to then glue it over the wire organizers, wire containers, whatever you call them. And this actually gets a nice end cap over them. Makes it, I don't know, just makes it look like it's supposed to be there. It's the best way I could describe it. I'm also using random beads. These are actual beads that would go on a bead bracelet. That's how they have a hole in the middle. It lets me grab them with the tweezers and just glue them on there. And then this is just, again, a very, very thin strip of XPS. Maybe a couple millimeters, a millimeter or two in thickness. And again, the reason I can get XPS this thin is because I used, I'll say it again, a hot wire foam cutting table. really it's a godsend. You need one of these tables if you work with XPS a lot. But these thin strips, as you can see, I'm just gluing them on over the whatever already placed on the cross on this base. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight, these strips. It's just to create a layering effect to really emphasize that, again, I'll say it again, biomechanical aspect here. You see a lot of these strips and lines in a lot of gears work, so that's what I'm trying to replicate here. So I'll kind of lay them over each other, as you see here, in crossing patterns. And again, this is all applied with hot glue, and it works fairly well. And when I'm done with that, I'll just use a little bit of hot glue over the seams just to make sure it stays down. And then I'll coat everything with some Mod Podge. I've mixed the Mod Podge with a light gray. It doesn't matter what kind of light gray, just Delta Ceram coat, a cheap paint. And that little tub here on my left, that's tile grout, which I will add as I start to seal this. Now the goal is just to apply the sealer, which again is just Mod Podge and gray paint mixed together, all over the cross. We want to bring everything together, all those kibbles and bits as we call them. And when you can, it's best to involve your kids if they're willing to help, because, well, why not? And the real reason we're using Mod Podge now is just to create this, again, you're sealing it, you're creating this coat so that we can later come in and use a spray paint, and the spray paint won't hopefully melt this foam, which it usually does, using a satin color. Less important, just a light color, and that's what it looks like once it's sprayed. Took it outside to spray that. But now I'm going to be using my airbrush and some FW inks, Daler Rowney inks. First, I'm going to go in with some sepia to create these kind of vein patterns, or basically squiggly lines all over it. And that'll help to add to the layering and the depth once I come in later on. Speaking of, I've now used a mix of sap green, antelope brown, and just a couple of drops of black, all FW inks again, to make this, basically this brownish color with a slight green tint. And this is actually very simple. It's a very dark color. I'm applying it in all the crevices between all the seams, and that's basically it. Just hit every crevice and every seam. There's going to be plenty here because we, well, spent all this time adding kibbles and bits and brass rods and you name it. So you want to get in between everything, and that'll really create, again, more depth and really bring forth that mechanical, biomechanical look to this. And just, again, get all those crevices. And I also do a quick splash of just watered down ink, same color I was just using, but just sprinkle it on there. And we take a Dremel to the back of this alien, he doesn't mind. And this is where we'll insert some thin brass rods just as support, so that we can then basically stick them on this cross here. Add some hot glue. I don't think we really need this, but why not? Keep it a little secure there. And that's about it. While I use a lot of the same materials I typically use during my builds, the concept here is a little different. Well, first of all, I'm using a 12th scale figure from NECA instead of a 1/6 Hot Toys figure, right? But this was a departure in design concept and just silhouette. I mean, basically it's on a cross. So it would be really good if you guys could let me know what you think of this. Sure, you can say you like it or you don't, but more importantly, do you guys want to see more diorama builds or display builds that are not necessarily 1/6 scale? And are you okay with 1/12 scale? What do you think? Let me know. As always, it's important, really helps out the channel. You hear this all the time. Go ahead and hit like, subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, stay crafted and enjoy Alien Day.